2023 Jeep Avenger vs 2023 Nissan Juke, compact electric SUV comparison. The new Avenger is all-electric and two-wheel drive, so is it a proper Jeep? If you remove any preconceptions about what you think a Jeep should be and on this evidence, we reckon you'd be wise to do just that, then the new Avenger is a really capable small SUV. It's efficient, good to drive and cleverly packaged, and there's plenty of charm and style on offer. If you do want a proper 4x4, you'll be able to buy an all-wheel drive Avenger from 2024. In the same way we never expected to see the likes of Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Aston Martin build an SUV, a Jeep without any true off-road prowess could be considered sacrilege in the eyes of brand purists around the world. And yet, with the compact SUV segment now the second biggest in Europe, and Jeep looking to extend its low and zero-emission reach in key markets, the maker is using all of parent company Stellantis's platform know-how, launching its first EV in two-wheel drive form. We were treated to a slightly sanitized first drive in a pre-production prototype late last year, on closed roads around the firm's Bolocco test track in Italy. But this is our first taste of the car due in showrooms in the coming months. The old Nissan Juke was distinctly average yet still sold very well, so it almost doesn't matter how good the latest model is. Fortunately, the new Nissan Juke is pretty good. The interior feels well finished, and it's more practical than ever. It's better than the old Juke to drive, too, although neither the petrol or hybrid engines are particularly class-leading. Nissan says electrified cars will make up 75% of its sales as soon as 2023. That's not such a bold claim for a manufacturer that's been selling one of the best-selling electric cars for the last decade, but it does mean big changes for its popular SUVs, such as the Nissan Juke reviewed here. The system, which has been co-developed with Renault, combines a conventional 1.6-litre petrol engine with an electric motor, a 1.2 kWh battery and a new automatic gearbox. The result, Nissan says, is a 25% boost in power yet a 20% drop in fuel consumption. Officially it'll return up to 56.5 miles per gallon. If hybrid power isn't your thing, or you just want to save cash on the purchase price, you can still buy a more traditional petrol-powered Nissan Juke. This uses a little 1.0-litre turbocharged petrol unit which produces 114 PS, much like similar engines used in rivals like the Citroën and Ford Puma. This motor feels peppy enough around town, and is also relatively efficient, although it does start to feel out of its depth on the motorway. This engine's available with a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, which is infinitely better than the CVT gearbox used in the old Juke. It's an easy car to drive around town, helped by a high seating position which gives you a clear view of the road ahead. High-spec models come with a 360-degree camera which helps when parking, too. On the open road, though, rivals are more refined, and both the Ford Puma and Citroën feel more agile. Engines aside, the Nissan Juke remains a very popular, and quirky, small SUV. If you're upgrading from the old Nissan Juke, you'll notice a significant step up in quality. No more does the Juke's cabin look woefully plasticky and clumsily designed, it now feels relatively plush and looks pretty stylish too. It's also easy to get comfortable in the latest Juke. Not everyone could get comfy in the old model, thanks to a steering wheel that only moved up and down, rather than in and out. There's plenty of adjustment in both the wheel and driver's seat now, so most people will be able to find a driving position that suits. There's significantly more space for rear seat passengers now. The Juke measures just over 4.2 m long and 1.8 m wide, although the Juke's curvaceous design means you'd be better looking elsewhere if you regularly carry people in the back. This is intended as a stylish city car, not a replacement for your family Ford Focus. Still, the boot's pretty big, 20% larger than the old model, in fact, and the Nissan Juke's boot space is a decent 422 litres. Note, though, that the hybrid model sees this drop to 354 litres. The biggest challenge the Nissan Juke faces is the quality of its rivals. We rate the Ford Puma, Skoda Kamiq and Volkswagen T-Cross highly, while there are some excellent small electric SUVs on the market if you're looking to cut your petrol bill. Take a look at the Hyundai Kona Electric as an example. Still, the Nissan Juke continues to sell in huge numbers, and it's certainly a better all-rounder than the previous model. Jeep's smallest model gets parent firm Stellantis's latest battery and motor tech, which means a 54 kWh, 51 kWh usable, battery for a maximum range of up to 248 miles. That's less than cars such as the Hyundai Kona Electric, but still competitive. Charging is, again, on par with most of Jeep's rivals, but not class-leading. The Avenger's 100 kW maximum charging speed is still enough for a 20 to 80% top-up in 24 minutes, though. The Avenger is a compact car, one of the smallest in its class, in fact. At 4,084 mm long, it's 126 mm shorter than a Nissan Juke, and 216 mm shorter than the Peugeot 2008, despite sharing that car's basic platform. The Jeep's tiny front and rear overhangs, wide track, and significant 200 mm of ground clearance give it a chunky look, while inside the Avenger feels roomy even for adults over 6 feet tall. There is loads of headroom, and legroom is adequate. Few crossovers are as spacious in the rear. The 380-litre boot matches the load space of some family hatchbacks, and a 1-meter wide opening boosts practicality. Quality is good, and the layout is logical. You can even color-code the dash to match the exterior paint. Jeep claims there is 34 litres of storage in the forward cabin, enough, apparently, to stash the contents of a carry-on suitcase among its various cubbies. The one below the central infotainment screen is particularly useful, accessed via a tablet-style magnetic cover. It's deep, and in top-spec cars, hides a handy wireless phone charger. If you want a stylish small SUV, the Nissan Juke is a pretty good choice. It's an easier car to justify than before thanks to its improved interior, but its slightly mediocre engine lineup limits its appeal. Still, if you mainly drive around town or you're not fussed about effortless performance, you could certainly do worse. You could buy the old model. If you're looking to buy a brand new Nissan Juke, the hybrid model will add a negligible amount to your monthly payments and is probably worth the extra for its slightly improved performance and better fuel economy. If you're looking at a used example, though, the 1.0 litre is fine, particularly around town. In terms of trim level, we'd avoid the basic Nissan Juke Visor. It's worth hunting out a Nissan Juke Center for the 8-inch infotainment system, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, alone, as well as a handy rearview camera and 17-inch alloy wheels. The Juke Techno is the car for tech fans, with a Bose sound system and full suite of driver assistance tech, while the top-of-the-range Techno Plus looks the fanciest with its two-tone paint and 19-inch alloy wheels. The infotainment system is a big improvement on older Jeep tech. At 10.25 inches the screen is a good size, and it's responsive. Standard-fit wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto ensure connectivity is on point, too. Thankfully, the climate controls sit on a row of piano-style buttons underneath the main display. Jeeps have often compromised on-road manners for their ability off-road, but the Avenger's dynamic ability is genuinely good. Despite that generous ground clearance the car's inherently stiff structure and firm suspension means body control is very good. It's not at the expense of comfort either, though. The Nissan Juke range kicks off with Visor model easily spotted by its old-school stereo. It's got a tiny non-color screen and lacks most of the useful features fitted to the infotainment screens on the rest of the range, although you do get a small TFT display between the dials on the instrument binnacle. Center models are a lot more like it. They have a proper 8-inch infotainment screen and it comes fitted with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can use your phone's apps on the car's big screen, instantly giving you access to things like Google Maps, Waze, and Spotify. N-connector models add to that with a 7-inch TFT display between the dials on the dashboard. Techno models keep the same infotainment, but add a Bose stereo which has 8 speakers including 2 in the front seat headrests that are designed to envelope you in sound. The Avenger steering could do with a bit more weight and feel, but the upside is a car that's super easy to drive around town. Further to this, in an urban environment, the 154 brake horsepower e-motor feels punchy enough. It's only pulling onto motorway slip roads or when overtaking that the Avenger can feel a little short on shove. The brake regeneration isn't strong enough to allow for one-pedal driving, but it slows the car sufficiently, while Jeep claims it has the ability to send enough energy back into the battery to extend that 245-mile range, up to 360 miles in slow-speed, stop-start traffic. We weren't able to truly test this claim, but the range readout appeared accurate for the most part. It may have just one motor. A 4xe all-wheel drive car is coming in 2024, but Jeep hasn't totally neglected the Avenger's competence off-road. In addition to the usual eco, normal and sport drive modes, there are mud, sand, and snow settings, as well as a hill descent system. Our experiences were limited to lightly rutted dusty tracks, but we'd wager the Avenger could show its SUV rivals a clean pair of heels over wet or slippery terrain. Rear seat passengers in the Nissan Juke benefit from these improvements the most, as they'll get nearly 60 mm of extra legroom and another centimeter of headroom. Every little helps, but it still doesn't feel like the most spacious choice. Things are better in the front. You sit high up, not to be taken granted in a compact SUV. See the Skoda Kamiq's hatchback-like driving position, while there's plenty of adjustment in the seats and steering wheel. Unfortunately, adjustable lumbar support isn't available with the Nissan Juke, but we've found the seats to be fairly supportive over long journeys. The boot can carry up to 422 liters of luggage, which compares well against the Seat Arona, 400 liters, and the 455 liters you get in the Renault Captur. Most Nissan Jukes come with an 8-inch infotainment system, which also comes with navigation on higher spec models. This is an easy system to use, although its graphics aren't as sharp as you'd find in the Skoda Kamiq or Volkswagen T-Roc. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard, though, which is useful. The Avenger lineup is relatively simple. Prices start from £34,800, undercutting the Vauxhall Mokka Electric by more than £4,000. A trio of trims allow buyers to choose the Jeep that suits their needs, with even entry-level Longitude models getting 16-inch alloy wheels and automatic LED lights, plus climate control and that 10.25-inch display with CarPlay and Android Auto. Stepping up to altitude, plus £1,700, brings a larger digital dash, 17-inch wheels, keyless entry and a power tailgate, plus different interior trim and an additional USB port in the rear. Top-spec Summit cars like ours, from £39,100, get Level 2 autonomous drive functions, 18-inch wheels, heated seats and a reversing camera, among other extras. Option packs can be added to all trims, packaging key bits of kit together. Jeep claims the extensive cladding, which is allegedly more durable than painted bumpers and side skirts, as well as features such as the inset headlamps, could save owners up to €1,000, £880, over the lifetime of the car. While the old Nissan Juke's interior offered a catalogue of hard plastics, the only hard materials you'll find in the new one are on the tops of the doors and in the lower reaches of the cabin, hardly unheard of at this price point. The main sections of the Juke's dashboard, though, are made from expensive-feeling squidgy materials. Mid-range Juke N-connector models feel a bit posher thanks to their leather-trimmed steering wheel and gear knob, plus their ambient interior lighting. Top-spec Juke Techno Plus models give you the option to choose from interior color packs including Engima Black, Energy Orange or Light Grey with half-leather seats. The Nissan Juke Hybrid officially returns up to 56.5 miles per gallon in WLTP fuel economy tests, while the 1.0-litre petrol manages 47.9 miles per gallon with the manual gearbox, and 46.3 miles per gallon with the auto transmission.